Now, without further ado, let's get straight to the video. Was this a dirty play by LeBron James? Yes, it is. I'm going to have to disagree with Shannon Sharp, who is defending LeBron, because LeBron James has been in the NBA for about 19 years, so he understands what a flying elbow can actually do to a guy's face. Understand LeBron James's frustration, because when a guy is being pushed and fought, especially when you're losing and you feel like you should be blowing out the Detroit Pistons, but yet you're down by 10 to 12 points, I can understand LeBron James's frustration, because he realizes, come on, dude, you fighting me, the guy made the shot, stop. I'm also gonna have to disagree with Skip Bayless, who said that LeBron turned around, looked at him, and then just gave him a clean shot. That's not how it happened. That is not how it happened, so I strongly disagree with Skip Bayless. But I do recognize the fact that this was not a good look for the NBA, Isaiah Stewart, or LeBron James, because when he connected, right, it looked extremely bad. And as a guy who's been elbowed, I understand how the fury could just build up inside of you until the point to where you want to express that anger. He didn't really express that anger once he was actually in front of LeBron James. I didn't see that same energy where he was knocking over his teammates and putting his coaches on the ground. The coaches are old, okay? They're 50, 60 years old. So when you knocking these guys over, now you're potentially putting these guys at risk. He's not thinking about that at this particular time, because he probably looked up at the Jumbotron, seen his eyes, seen his mouth, seen all that blood, and I'm sure that actually enraged him even more. But once he got in front of LeBron, it didn't really look like he wanted to fight the Lakers. They weren't just gonna let him fight LeBron. Like, he was gonna have to fight more than one player. So he probably would have been fighting by himself, which is a losing battle. I agree with Chris Broussard, who said the blood coming from his face is what actually fueled his anger. Because most people say, man, when I get mad, I see red. And that red is your blood, and you can taste it because it's in your mouth. That's going to take you to a whole nother level. And trust me, I understand. Now, I got elbowed in the face, but it wasn't like that. I didn't experience the damage that he experienced, but I did experience the elbow, and it did psychologically throw me over the top. I was able to calm down, but I definitely reacted going after LeBron, because, I mean, come on, you elbowed him in the face. Now, should LeBron and Isaiah Stewart be suspended or fined? Yes, I am a Laker fan. I don't want to see LeBron miss any games, but the way that this looks is terrible, because this man's face, his bloody face, will be all over the internet for a long time, which usually I believe is like a 3-day cycle. This guy is probably going to turn into a meme that he's not going to be able to forget. It will be in everybody's best interest to let his tempers come down, because you want to kind of go ahead and nip that in the bud. As far as Isaiah Stewart goes, first to be suspended, because he had just did something very similar to Blake Griffin, except he got the better end of the stick when it came to Blake Griffin, and they didn't end up fighting, but they got into a scuffle. Isaiah Stewart is starting to create a negative image of himself in the NBA, which is that of a dirty player. This is only his second year. He averages about 7 points and 7 rebounds per game. So work on your game. It's turning into a game of skill, not into a game of intimidators. The guys like Dwight Howard, DeAndre Jordan, those guys are kind of getting knocked out, washed away into dinosaurs. It's only your second year. Come on. You have you have your whole career in front of you. So why throw it away over the guy who's the face of the NBA? He's going to get special treatment. That's the treatment you should want, but you got to get your skill level to that. You have the size, work on your skills. I also disagree with Keyshawn Johnson, who said that this wasn't a dirty play, but I respect what he said, because when Keyshawn Johnson said that, you know, LeBron was just trying to fight the guy off, and the guy's face just happened to be at the wrong place, in the wrong place at the wrong time. When he said that Isaiah Stewart's face just happened to be in the wrong place at the right time, I can understand that. But LeBron understands, hey, you throwing an elbow like that could really do some damage. Joel Embiid had a play like this where he was mad that a foul wasn't called and he threw a wild punch. Lonzo Ball barely escaped it. If he would have caught Lonzo Ball with that punch, he probably would have knocked Lonzo Ball out, simply because Lonzo Ball didn't even really see it coming. He reacted quick enough, but if he would have got hit with that shot, it probably would have put him down if that punch would have connected. There's people like Anthony Davis and other ESPN commentators who are saying, well, LeBron isn't a dirty player. But I'm sure if you talk to all the players in the NBA, you're going to find some guys who don't like the way that LeBron James plays. The best teams in the NBA, this is shocking and surprising to me, because despite all that the Brooklyn Nets have been through, they are still the number 2 team in the East. With Kyrie not being there, with James Harden dealing with that hamstring injury, numbers that we really haven't seen James Harden put up. Number 2 position in the Eastern Conference, and they're actually tied for first. The team that's actually first is the Chicago Bulls. Now, I thought that the Bulls would be good because of the pieces that they added and how those players could potentially work, but to see it work, you have Zach LaVine, their star player, and DeMar DeRozan are coexisting amazingly. It's a match made in heaven, and the Bulls are the number 1 team in the East. All of the teams in the Eastern Conference are separated by 1 to 2 games. The Bulls, the Nets, the Wizards. Yes, the Wizards are number 3. They were number 1, but I'm sure they lost, so they ended up dropping to number 3. Then you have the Hornets. Who expected the Hornets and the Wizards to be 3 and 4? So you have the Bulls, the Nets, the Wizards, the Hornets, and the Cavaliers. Who would have ever thought that the Cavaliers would be in the top 5? We come over to the Western Conference. Now, the Phoenix Suns are the number 2 team. When it comes to having a guy like Chris Paul, they got exactly what they paid for, which is a point guard who is going to run the team, meaning he's going to distribute it. He's going to make sure that the star player, being Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton, those guys are going to get their numbers because Chris Paul is getting his numbers. So this year, Chris Paul, 14 points, 11 assists per game. I keep telling people that's the most important thing that you want from your point guard. Scoring is great, but there's usually scorers on your team, so you don't need your scorer to be your point guard. Team chemistry is not going to be as high. Like Steph Curry, because his team is the number 1 team in the NBA, and Steph Curry is the main reason why he keeps breaking this record. He has made 9 3-pointers in 39 games. The next person that's close to him, I believe, is James Harden at 9, where he's made 9 3-pointers. I believe Kobe is on that list, but Kobe is only on there for 4 games with 9 3-pointers. Klay Thompson isn't back yet. I heard them say this on ESPN, and I strongly agree with them. I believe it was Richard Jefferson, Kendrick Perkins, Jalen Rose, Stephen A. Smith. When they get Klay Thompson back, they're going to be dangerous because Klay Thompson is going to be inserted back into a culture he's very familiar with, which is, hey, if you're not open to shoot the ball, pass it. Or Draymond Green will get it to somebody running to the basket. The Warriors, they are set. The Utah Jazz, they're the number 3 team. The person who deserves the most credit for the Utah Jazz is the coach, Quinn Snyder, because his star players are Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, and Jordan Clarkson. Now, Jordan Clarkson being a 6th man, a former Laker, that's great. But nobody is talking about Donovan Mitchell as the MVP. And he was the star player last last year when they were the #1 team. There's going to be a lot of movement. This is an amazing start to the season. With teams being within a game or two, that means there is a lot of competition. So I'm excited about this. I'm excited about this season. I hope you guys are too. If you have any questions, comment under this video below. Other than that, I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.